Have you ever felt that something was wrong, but you could not explain what it was? This is a common feeling when you are being subtly influenced by someone. It might feel like your decisions are not entirely your own. You could sense an invisible force guiding you, making you feel like you are not in control. Perhaps you've done favors for people that you didn't really want to do. Or maybe you have given in during arguments, even when you knew you were right. You may have also put your trust in people who later showed a completely different side of themselves. This can be a confusing and hurtful experience for anyone. If any of these things have ever happened to you, then this information is for you. It aims to shed light on these confusing and often painful experiences. The hard truth is that you are being manipulated almost every day. This manipulation often comes from the people who are closest to you in your daily life. It also comes from the media, our leaders, and others. These people know the secret ways to operate the hidden mechanisms of the human mind to gain influence. The most difficult part of this is that you often do not even realize it. The manipulation is so quiet and subtle that it goes completely unnoticed by you. You don't need hypnotism or some kind of cinematic mind control for this. The most effective manipulation is the kind that you are not even aware is happening. The best type of manipulation makes you believe that you are in control. It convinces you that the decision you made was completely your own idea from the start. It also leads you to believe that any mistake that occurred was your fault. This way, the manipulator can easily avoid taking any responsibility for their actions. Most people silently live their lives this way. They are guided like pieces on a board game that they did not even know they were playing in. And when they finally try to react or push back, they are often filled with guilt, fear, and a lot of doubt. These feelings make resistance very difficult. They have been emotionally trained over a long period of time not to resist. This conditioning makes them easier for the manipulator to control and influence. If you are thinking that this does not happen to you, stop right now. That is exactly what a good manipulator wants you to believe to maintain control. This information will not offer you easy comfort or simple answers. Instead, it is designed to provide you with the necessary tools to protect your mind. Those who have mastered the art of manipulation do not need to yell or use force. As the writer Machiavelli understood, subtlety is much more effective. They just observe you, understand what your weaknesses are, and then they act. They know what drives you, and use that knowledge to their own advantage. If you do not know what truly drives you, then you will be driven by others. Understanding your own motivations is the first step towards achieving true freedom. You are going to understand how people can manipulate you without you realizing it. This awareness will help you see the hidden patterns and tricks they use. You will be able to recognize the common patterns of manipulation. You will also see the emotional tricks and the subtle games of control that people play. You will start to identify your own personal vulnerabilities. Then you can learn how to build a strong shield to protect your mind from outside influence. True freedom is not just about being able to do whatever you want. It is about knowing the real reasons why you want to do those things. This information is a call to action for all those who are tired of being used. It is for those who have suffered in silence and been blamed unfairly. It is for people who have been silenced and conditioned by others. Here, you will learn to stop being a puppet and start being a strategist. But you should be warned that once you see the truth, you cannot pretend you don't know anymore. This new knowledge will permanently change your perspective. So, from this moment on, you should get ready. What you are about to discover may completely change the way that you see other people and yourself. Have you ever noticed how some people always seem to get exactly what they want? They succeed even when they do not seem to deserve the outcome. These kinds of people do not shout, threaten, or beg to get their way. Instead, they use persuasion and engagement to convince you to agree with them. They have a special skill for making you believe that giving in was your own idea. This is not just about having charisma. It is a learned technique. This is manipulation in its most pure and effective form. A manipulator does not act on impulse. They are patient and carefully observe their target. They take the time to study you very closely. They pay attention to your reactions, your weaknesses, and all of your emotional needs to find leverage. They can notice when you are in need of approval from other people. They see when you fear rejection and when you feel guilty about saying no. And they use all of this information against you to get what they want. The manipulation process begins long before the first word is ever spoken. It starts with a silent and careful reading of your body language. They also pay close attention to the tone of your voice and your speech patterns. Some manipulators will use their charm to influence you. They will smile a lot, give you compliments, and present themselves as being different from others. They work very hard to make you feel seen, heard, and truly special. This helps to create an emotional connection and lowers your natural defenses. But behind this nice and kind facade, there is cold calculation. They are creating an emotional debt in you that they plan to collect on later. Because when someone is being exceptionally good to you, your natural instinct is to reciprocate. You feel a strong urge to do something nice for them. And that is the exact moment when you start to give in to them. You begin to agree to things you normally wouldn't because you feel indebted. Other manipulators prefer to use guilt as their primary weapon of choice. They will often play the victim to make you feel sorry for their situation. They might tell you that they are completely overwhelmed with their problems. They will claim that no one understands them and that you are their only hope. Slowly and gradually, they put you into a position of emotional responsibility. You start to feel that their happiness depends entirely on your actions and choices. If you try to pull away from them or say no to their requests, they do not need to fight you. Their reaction is much more subtle. A simple sigh, a cutting remark, or a look of deep sadness is enough. A subtle manipulator never has to explicitly ask for what they want. They are very skilled at making you offer your help or support. They guide the situation, so you propose the solution they wanted all along. Then there are the kinds of manipulators who use fear to control you. They create catastrophic scenarios in your mind to make you afraid to act. They might say things like, "If you do this, you will end up all alone." Or they might say, "If you leave me, you will never find someone like me again." They do not bind you with physical chains, but with trapping ideas. They make you doubt your own ability to act independently and make sound decisions. As a result, you remain trapped by your own choice and volition. Niccolò Machiavelli described how manipulation can be a legitimate tool of power. He understood very clearly that human beings are driven by their interests and emotions. Those who grasp this simple fact can easily shape their realities. As Machiavelli once said, "Men judge more by their eyes than by their hands." This means that everyone can see, but very few can truly feel. Manipulation is just a visual and emotional spectacle that is set up to appear as reality. The manipulator creates a theater, and you become an actor. They will assign roles to people and write the script for them to follow. The scariest part is that you believe the entire plot is yours. But this theater can only work because there is something inside of you that allows it. There is a gap, a weakness, or an unacknowledged desire. This is the vulnerability that makes you an easy target for manipulators. As long as you don't see what weakens you, you will be controlled. You are not manipulated because you are a weak person. You are manipulated simply because you are a human being, and all humans have vulnerabilities. Inside every human being, there exists an emotional blind spot. This could be an unresolved desire, a wound that has not healed, or a silent need. And that is exactly where the manipulator comes in to take advantage. They do not use force. They just listen very carefully to what you say. Some of us carry an insatiable thirst for approval from other people. We were taught from a young age to please others in order to be loved. We learned that love is a reward that must be earned, not a right. So, we started to shape our attitudes and behaviors to be accepted by others. This deep need for validation is like an open invitation for a manipulator. They will give you crumbs of validation in exchange for your blind loyalty. They will tell you exactly what you want to hear at that moment. In exchange, you will slowly but surely give up your personal autonomy. Others carry guilt around with them like an invisible burden. They blame themselves for saying no, for prioritizing themselves, or for setting any boundaries. They were taught from a young age that thinking of oneself is selfish. They were led to believe that sacrificing for others is a noble virtue. That is why even when they feel that something is wrong, they don't react. They think that they are being too harsh, ungrateful, or cold. The manipulator knows this guilt very well and uses it. They present themselves as someone who only wants what is best for you, which builds trust. With that trust, they slowly begin to control your decisions. They use a distorted sense of morality to guide you in the direction they want. And there are still those among us who carry a lot of fear. This can be a fear of rejection, a fear of loneliness, or a fear of being forgotten. These people often cling to any connection they can find, even if it is toxic. They are afraid of facing the emptiness of being alone. The manipulator offers a false sense of security and then threatens to take it away. This creates a powerful hold over the fearful person's emotions. They make you feel that without them, you are a nobody. And you believe it because your own fear has already told you the same thing before. All of these different vulnerabilities have an origin. They are often the result of past experiences, silent traumas, and emotional conditioning from our childhood. But as long as you do not confront these old wounds, they will remain open. And people with bad intentions will know exactly where to touch them. Machiavelli knew that real control does not require physical force. It only requires a deep and thorough knowledge of common human weaknesses and desires. The nature of people is variable, he once wrote. It is easy to convince them of something, but it is much harder to keep them in that conviction. A manipulator, therefore, does not try to convince you with logic. They simply occupy the empty spaces inside you where your awareness and self-knowledge are lacking. But there is a way to escape this cycle of manipulation. You do not have to continue being so emotionally predictable and vulnerable to these kinds of attacks. You can learn to identify your own emotional gaps and then seal them. This will make you a much less appealing target for manipulators to focus on. Only then will you be able to stop being such an easy target. You can finally start to live your life with a new sense of clarity. Most people say they want to stop being manipulated by others, but very few of them are actually willing to pay the real price for emotional freedom. The first wound that you will need to heal is the illusion that being good, empathetic, and understanding will protect you. It does not protect you. In fact, these virtues, when they are not balanced with clarity, make you an easy target. Developing emotional immunity is not about becoming cold. It's about awareness. It is about stopping your automatic reactions to the emotional triggers that manipulators use. You need to pause and think before you react to them. The very first step to achieving this is to recognize your own patterns. Stop and observe what triggers you to give in to other people's wishes. Is it the fear of disappointing someone that you care about? Or is it the anxiety that you feel when you think you might be rejected? Once you can understand what truly drives your actions, you can start to change the game. This self-knowledge is a powerful tool for your self-defense. The second step is to cultivate what Machiavelli would call strategic detachment. This means you need to learn to emotionally distance yourself from difficult situations. This means observing what is happening without immediately getting involved emotionally. Don't respond to compliments as if they are absolute truths that define your worth. The third step in this process is to become unpredictable. Manipulators rely on your predictability. They map out your likely responses to their actions. They know that if they start to cry, you will likely comfort them. They know if they compliment you, you will probably let your guard down. Your best defense against this is to break this pattern of behavior. Surprise them with a reaction that they did not expect from you at all. Say no to them when they are expecting you to say yes. You can also disappear when they expect you to insist on something. Another very important point is to build a solid and stable identity. The more you know who you are, the less you will need to prove it. And the less you feel you need to prove yourself, the less power other people will have over you. Manipulators thrive on controlling your self-perception. Emotional immunity doesn't come from just watching a single video. It comes from the constant and dedicated practice of self-observation and resisting urges to please. It comes from remembering that you do not owe anything to anyone but your own mental integrity. Staying sane in this world is an act of resistance. Machiavelli wrote that men must be either pampered or completely destroyed. This harsh thought reveals an uncomfortable truth about the nature of power dynamics. Now you understand the workings of manipulation and how to protect yourself. The question that remains is what to do with all of this new knowledge. The time has come for you to take complete control of your own mind. If you do not do it, you can be sure someone else will.